what's been more effective for you for getting like new patients right now? You know, is it Facebook or Google? Like type that in the chat, everybody.
Chico
Okay.
says Google. Christopher says Facebook.
Christopher's Facebook. Very good. Yeah.
Google reviews and word of mouth. Jeanine says Google. Dean says Google by far.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Or if you want to type in the chat too, you don't know, like, because sometimes it's people might have a hard time tracking that across the front desk, or maybe your front desk is not getting that information as accurately. So
if you don't know, put a so
if you don't know, that's fine too. Tracking is important, but Lauren says Google by far.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with like Google, like people using Google, they're looking for something like, I want this. So the intent of like Google is like, I want a restaurant, I want a physical therapist, like I want like a solution for like back pain, I want treatment for like scoliosis, right? So it's like there's intent behind that, right?
Yep.
Whereas in social media, they're actually like just, you know, checking out what's going on. They're following their celebs, you know, or they're following people like myself or Neil. And then we have like what we call interruption marketing, right? That interrupt you while you're enjoying, you know, maybe content from like Neil or myself, and it's telling you to like do something, right?
Yeah, I always say that too. It's Google is really your intent-based marketing, and you know, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those ones, it's brand awareness, right? It's like you said, interruption marketing. People are on there for entertainment, and they're, you know, as they're going through, they'll come across, you know, your ad or your, you know, they might come across a post or things that have been shared that way. So it's great for brand awareness. It's great for getting in front of people who are not even thinking about particular solutions. However, that can be a great start, an interaction to then people go to say, hey, maybe this place can help me. And then they go Google you, right? Yeah. That's why you want to rank up on Google, is check out your reviews. They start to build their trust and awareness of you. And then they come through that process. But then your website has to do its job of selling them on why you're a great solution for them.
Yeah, and anyone that follows me on Instagram, like I've actually built a pretty good social media following, and you know, and I find that like the brand awareness, a lot of the leads come from top of the funnel. So like in the very beginning, you know, and then over time, once they start knowing your brand, they follow your stuff, they enjoy your content, that's when they start becoming more aware of you. And so when the problem of like, I need to go see a physiotherapy comes up, like you also become top of mind, right? And then back to what Neil said is that like, you got to have a really good website, you know, and you also have to be in all the different like channels where like this person hangs out, so that like when they are ready to buy or like start researching, like you're actually in front of them, right?
Yeah. Well, here's a good stat. 60% of consumers search online before scheduling a healthcare appointment. So most people go to Dr. Google when they're looking for some kind of treatment or some kind of help or idea about how to do something. And a lot of people are looking to not necessarily for, hey, I'm gonna go see a specialist right away. They're looking for free advice. They're looking for tips, techniques, things that they can do to help themselves, things that other people have done for that. So they might, you know, be searching for, how can I help my sciatica, right? And they're looking for what other people have done about that. So they start that search on Google. And if you have good content on your website that speaks directly to that, that's going to rank up in Google, and people are going to find that content, which starts to build the trust, starts to build the authority with that practice in that consumer's mind.
Okay, super cool. And I think I had this showing up for later, you know, like I think this speaks to what you talked about, right?
Yeah,
Neil, right? Like this is one of those infographics to actually show you, oh my gosh, like 84% of these people search, you know, online for a physical therapist, 61 for chiropractors, right? You know, 71% for dentists, right? 74% for optometrists, right? And when you think about like even your normal consumer behavior, how is that any different? You know, like I'm in Italy right now. I'm in like this whole new place. I'm in this community I've never been to. Like, and so I'm actually online searching, hey, what restaurant should I eat that has like the best like spaghetti, you know, or like the best like seafood pasta. And then I'm looking at the reviews, and then I'm checking out their website, and I'm looking at their content. I'm scrolling through their Instagram, you know, to actually see what the food would look like. And so it's no different, you know, if for a health consumer purchasing like their like a service from you. If that makes sense, type 100% in the chat, everybody. If that makes sense, type 100% in the chat. I just want to make sure everyone understands that a consumer who buys like a product or service, like whether at a restaurant, is no different than buying a physical therapy service or like a chiropractor massage. Okay.
And
Okay,
I think
so we're gonna get started.
it comes down to that experience, right? So it's like sometimes we can think that, oh, what's the one thing that's going to change everything here? But when it comes to it, what you're just describing there, Rick, is that customer experience. Like how do we normally go through that decision process of discovery, and then saying, you know, is this going to be the right place that can help me with my particular pain or problem? You know, they go for that awareness part of it. They're going to see, you know, as they go to Google, they type in, you know, what can I do for my back pain? Ideally, your clinic's showing up there. Oh, what's this clinic about, right? What kind of information? Then they, you know, do you have more than one spot on page 1 of Google? Are you, you know, kind of an authority in your area? What are other people saying about you, right? So what are the reviews saying about your practice? What does it look like at this place, right? They start to explore the images that are on your Google profile. Then they start to go to your website. So like all these different things go through our decision process as a consumer. And so it's not necessarily like, hey, I just need to get a bunch of reviews. Like there's this whole loop of experience that you have to bring someone through that's going to attract more people to you.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so let's kind of jump to it. For the people who don't know me, I'm going to share a bit of my journey. So this way you guys kind of know where I come from, and then we'll actually have Neil kind of, who's co-hosting this webinar with me, and then you kind of hear about his journey, and then we'll kind of go into the meat and potatoes of today's like show, right? And so for the people who don't know me, like this is my clinic owner journey. I started clinics about 20 years ago, and I grew from 100 to, one to, you know, I started from one clinic, it got to about 23 clinics. I did it through buying clinics, you know, and back in the good olden days, Neil, we were buying clinics at 2 times EBITDA, and the vendor would actually loan half of it. It was the good old days, you know. That's not happening anymore.
No.
And then it got to a point where we raised a bit of capital, and this is happening now, you know, but we did this about 20 years ago, right? We raised a bit of capital. We grew to 127 locations with 1,400 employees, right? You know, and then while we were doing this, like this unexpected storm happened, you know. There was big changes with insurance changes, like in our country, you know, and in our state or province, like there was like a big drop in government funding. And over a course of a few months, our monthly revenue dropped 40%, you know, right? And that is insane, you know, and then this ended up to be the hardest decision in my entrepreneurial life, where like we actually had to fire 700 employees in one day, right? And we exited, like, you know, we turned it around. We exited 18 months later, and now, you know, this $27 billion grocery chain actually owns like my clinics that I started, right? A grocery chain, like type grocery chain in the chat, you know. And the reason why I want you to type this and acknowledge is that this was like I had a big aha moment in my journey, you know. And my biggest aha moment, I was like, I will never own a business ever again, you know, at the mercy of insurance companies, government, and doctors, right? I don't want to put myself in that situation, right? And so, you know, and I think if anyone who's owning a clinic right now, like the new way of running clinics in 2014, you have to be good at 4 really good things, okay? Number 1 is you have to be really good at marketing, okay? The second thing is you have to be great with like sales. And when I mean sales, you have to be really good at front desk, like sales conversions, right? You know, you might generate leads from like, you know, Neil's marketing agency, but is your front desk able to close that lead into that first appointment? Okay. You need to have amazing patient experience. Okay. you know, and in 2014, like you know, like a lot of clinics have the business, but they don't have the staff. So you have to have an outstanding staff experience to actually want people to actually work with you, right? And that's a big deal, everyone, you know, and so that's kind of my journey, and this is what I do now. I help clinic owners like make money, you know, and we got this amazing community called Clinic Excel with over 1,000 clinic with over 1,000 like members right now, and we're on this mission to build the best clinics and leaders in the world. You know, we're also like you know, coming January, I'm co-hosting this event with Neil. We are running the Clinic Boss Summit, you know, in Orlando. And we're going to have like 300 of the world best like clinic owners are. We're going to be focusing on recruitment, retention, and like marketing, you know. And so I'm just curious, is anyone coming like to Florida? Type of Florida in the chat. Come, you know, I want to see how many people actually either heard of it or is coming in January or thinking about it. Type Florida in the chat, you know. Nice.
All right.
Cool. That's awesome. And Neil, you know, so the people who don't know you, like, love for you to share kind of your story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a physical therapist. I went to school for in Florida, and you know, did a bunch of different jobs there, outpatient, inpatient, and then eventually opened a clinic with my wife, Amy, who's also a physical therapist, back in 2002. We grew that up there to a staff of about 19, so not quite the size of Rick's, but we had a successful practice there. And we decided we wanted to relocate. So I actually sold that practice back at the end of 2010. But I saw there was so much need for help with getting good marketing in clinics. There really wasn't much help at that time. So I saw the opportunity there to elevate the whole profession, right? And also help a lot of clinic owners with that. So we started our practice promotions back there in 2011. And since then, we've grown to help a lot of clinics with all of their, you know, websites, digital marketing, print marketing, kinds of different types of marketing for clinics, from solopreneurs all the way up to 120 location clinics that we help service too. And we're really happy now to be able to help both Canadian and US clinics there, multidisciplinary clinics. We've got 1,400 clinic locations that we work with now. So we're pulling
so
a
you
lot
know
of
a
great
few things
data
about what's happening with Google, right? Working with 1,400
yeah, so
clinics right now.
our team is in Google every single day. There's hundreds, if not sometimes thousands, of algorithm updates in a year from Google. So, you know, it's a lot of seeing what is happening with Google. Some things are very tiny, some things are major.
Okay.
We'll talk about some of that here today, but it does impact how people will find you. And that's a big part of what we do is help clinics connect with people in their community and have that reach to get people in there.
All right. Who's excited about what we're going to talk about today, about ranking number 3 on Google? Type Google in the chat if you're excited about our kind of chat today, like with Neil's expertise. And I'm kind of show you my clinic owner perspective as well. Okay, cool. If no one's excited, we might as well end the show then, right, Neil? What do you think?
Of course they're excited.
I want to see the chat loading. Like, type Google if you want us to go. Okay.
People want more patience. Let's do it.
All right, sounds good. And so I want to talk about today's agenda. We're going to talk about like 4 things. Okay. So number 1 is we're going to talk about, hey, how do you rank for top 3 in Google? Okay. Number 2 is how do you get good quality like reviews, Google reviews. And I'm gonna share a few things that's kind of work within our community, and I'm sure Neil has a bunch of awesome stuff. And then we're also going to talk about like what's working right now in generating new patients, you know, and that's everything from like online marketing to offline marketing to community marketing, you know, to even like doctor marketing. And then we'll wrap it up with like a Q&A, right? Where like you can ask like anything about marketing to Neil and myself, and we'll hang out as long as we can to be able to maybe like answer some of those questions. Okay. So here is an interesting stat, everyone. 62% of Americans use the phone while they're in the bathroom. This is insane, is it not, Neil?
Yeah. My question is, how does NordVPN know that data? Are they tracking you?
100%. So I spoke at Ascend in Phoenix to, I think there was like 500 people there, and yeah, everyone loved this, you know, and so I had to share that, you know. So and then here's the thing, and and I'm curious, how many people right now, like type in the chat if your clinic is ranking top 5 on Google right now. Type 5 if your clinic is ranking on top 5 on Google, right? And if you don't know, maybe put question mark. Okay.
So Blair says 10. Michelle doesn't know. Chris says 5. Jeannie says 5. There's quite a few people that don't really know what they're ranking right now.
How many people are doing like 3? How come people don't know? Like, why do people have a question mark?
Google yourself. Type it in. Type in physical therapy in your town. What do you come up?
Well, okay, John brings a good point. What keywords? But let's be honest, we're going after our bread and butter keywords, right? Which is physical therapist near me, physical therapist in, like, whether you're in Toronto, Orlando, Florida. Like, those are, like, that's our bread and butter. Sure, we're not talking about all the other like harder terms, right? So
yeah. So we got some here, top 5, 15, 7.
Okay.
If you take out the sponsor businesses, yeah.
There's a lot of question marks. And if you don't have a question mark, I'm curious. The people who put a question mark, is it because you worked with a really bad agency? Or you just are just lazy and you haven't done anything, Is it type bad agency, or like you're just like, it's just, like, whether you're maybe not lazy, right word, but maybe it's not like there's other things that make you more money and you don't want to like focus on it, right?
Well, Mariella has a good point here. She's a new business, so that takes some time to get yourself up there for sure. I think the thing to understand too with Google, the way you're courting Google, and Google is it's like dating, right? And they got to get to know you, they got to trust you, and the more things that work towards showing Google that you are trustworthy and that you're the best, because at the end of the day, Google is trying to make a good product, and their good product is connecting the right searches to what you're searching for, and is it relevant, and is it the best type of search. So if you have the things that go into that, Google likes you, right? And that's when they start to rank you near the top.
Yeah. So I have a small marketing team compared to yours, Neil. But my SEO VP, right, tells me that, like, hey, if you're not in top 3, like, forget it, because top 3 gets like 67% of like the clicks, right? So
yeah, for that
you're
section,
not kind of like owning your city within like top 3, then like you're just like, it's just not worth it, right? Like, so
yeah. So here's the important thing to realize, like, we're talking here about page 1 of Google, and it really is broken up into 3 core sections. So at the top, we've got our ads.
Neil, let's wait for this. Because we're gonna go through the whole, like,
okay,
I want us to actually run through the whole, like, and then we're gonna run through searching Google together, and then you could describe the sections.
Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. So, but before we get into that, like, I wanna simplify Google, okay? Because when you talk to a lot of different like marketing agencies, and hopefully Neil doesn't talk like this, because I bucket him in that bucket, but because he's a physical therapist, he could speak in normal language to like us owners, right? This is what you often hear. You hear all those like on-page SEO, impressions, optimization, meta tags, your off-page backlink, technical, blah blah blah, right? and but like, and usually those are things you cannot control, right? So I want to talk about today, what are things you can control. And so to me, like, your website is going to be your patient experience online. So there are 3 things we could do, right? You could do with or without like an agency like Neil, right? Although you should use them because you want to rank on all that other technical stuff, blah, blah, but there are 3 things you could do so that you can still improve your patient experience online, right? And this is what I mean by demystifying Google. Number 1 is you got to start creating content that people actually want to read, and consume. That is content, like, whether it's on your website, blog, or social media, or Google, like the business reviews, right? 2 is like, you got to start finding a way to operationalize getting more quality Google reviews. Okay. And number 3 is like, you can control this, is like, like everyone in the agency world talks about getting backlinks, right? But this is about you developing really strong partnerships within your community where they link their website to your website, and And an agency will not help you do this type of stuff because it's your relationships, you know? And so if this makes sense, type control in the chat, everyone. These are things that you can control, and you need to do that so you can run a good patient experience online. And if you do it well and you're paired up with like a really good like marketing agency like Neil, that's when the fireworks explodes, okay? And so I'm gonna,
yeah. So Rick, one thing I want to say with that too is that when we talk to a lot of clinic owners, they really aren't even getting any kind of help for this period. They're trying to do a lot of things on their own, or they just don't know where to start. So it's really a blend of two things. So you have the things that what Rick's talking about here, like what you can control, and that's putting some effort towards how you can put great content together that people will actually read. How can you get more reviews in the clinic, and how can you make community partnerships? Those are all critical functions within the clinic, but a lot of clinics don't even go to a local agency or someone that can help them with the technical aspects of Google. So like how things come up on your website, how is your Google My Business or Google Business profile optimized, and what are you doing for citations and different backlinkings online? So there's a lot of different things there too, where you can have outsourced technical help, but it has to be paired with things that you can or should be doing within the clinic to support that. And that's when you get the best results to help you rank more in Google.
Wow, Neil, that was great. You were starting to talk very technical.
I was holding back. I was holding back because I'm on the both sides, right? I've been on I'm on the technical side, but I'm also been on the practice side. So,
all right.
And here's the thing too, is like, I'm a clinician, right? And I have you ever had a patient come up to you and say, you know what, I think I can do this on my own, right? I think I can just do the exercise. And you're like, PT is not just exercises. There's a whole lot of things that I'm looking at and doing to help you have the optimum outcome here. And so we face the same problem as clinicians, in that people think that they can do what we do on their own, right? And so it's the same thing when you go into business. If you're trying to be a jack of all trades and be a marketing expert and be a financial expert and be a billing expert and be a clinician, an operational expert. So one thing I've learned in business is that as you grow and the bigger that you get, actually the more consultants that you start to rely on, because you know that you can't be experts in all these areas.
Yeah, love it. Cool. And I want to start off with a case study, and then we're going to actually do a search together. Okay. Who's heard of Pain Hero? Type in the chat if you've heard of Pain Hero, which is in the chat. Okay. Type Pain Hero if you heard of Pain Hero before. I want to share a story, for people who's heard of Pain Hero. I started this website from scratch 2 years ago. Right. And so I actually just want to share like my results from last month. Okay. So Neil, check this out. Okay.
Let's see.
Last month, my website, Pain Hero had 30,000 unique visitors in 1 month. Right. And look at where most of the traffic is coming from. 28,000 unique visitors in a month is coming through SEO. Okay. Look at how much is coming from social media, everybody. Nothing.
0.1%.
What about direct? Direct is like word of mouth, right? Right?
Yeah.
And so, so what we're going to share today, everyone, is that I'm going to actually share what's kind of worked for me when we built up Pain Hero, and we're going to pair this up with with Neil's expertise working with thousands of clinics. Who's excited about who would love to get 30,000 unique visitors on their website each month? Type 30K in the chat. We're going to talk about that right now. Okay. All right. Just one person wants 30,000. Okay. Okay, fine. Good.
That's a whole bunch now. Yeah.
Okay. So once again, I want to start off with case study. I'm not making shit up. This is what we do. I practice what I preach. And so let's do this together. Neil, you have we're doing this presentation. You haven't seen it, but I thought we could do this together, right? So let's pretend we're a patient right now. Okay. And then we're going to go through this entire journey. You're going to talk about all the different buckets, and we're going to talk about tips on what you could do so you could be placed in the right buckets. Okay. So let's just say I'm, so this is kind of the keyword we're going after, okay? Physical therapist, like, you type physical therapist near me, or physical therapist like in Toronto, okay? So let's go through this experience, pretending we're like, like a patient. So Neil, at the very top, you got these paid ads, right? This is your time you could talk about it.
Yes. Google, how does Google make their money? They make it through ads, right? That's how Google makes their money. So I think we've all seen, if you've been in the business a long time, you've probably seen that we started off maybe with no ads, and then Google started to put one ad up there, and then 2 ads and 3. And now I think we're up to about 4 different ads that will show up sometimes at the top of Google, because that's how Google makes its money. So 46% of clicks actually go to the ads section at the top. And then the rest of that, yeah. So it's huge. So if you're not doing Google Ads in today's world, it's really a necessity. You could be missing half of the potential patients that could be clicking to your website.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep 46 goes in this like orange, in this purple square right now, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so Neil, like I've worked with a lot of agencies, and so typically like, what is it like? How would you? What's deemed successful, right?
So
like,
industry average
successful in like to
yeah.
get.
So what we're really looking for in ads is what we call the conversion, right? Which means that someone clicked on the ad, and then they went to your website. They ideally called from there, and then that's measured as what's called a conversion, or they filled out a form, right? So we're looking for how many people click. That's okay, all right. But what we're really looking for is how many people are converting, right? And that's and then we can see how much we spent to actually get that person to call into our front desk or want to request an appointment with us. So typically, industry average is somewhere around like $80 a conversion, right? Now, if you can get
what are you calling conversion? You're calling booked, or are you talking about like the call?
I'm calling like a lead coming in. So that then comes back to what you were talking about, the sales aspect, that your front desk has to do a very good job then of taking that lead and then converting them into an evaluation on the schedule.
So Neil, what's your number? You're saying like you're getting $100 a call right now? Is that what you're saying?
Anywhere from like $80 to $100 is the kind of average, and like with us, our average is $49.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about what separates a good agency and a bad agency. I think the number you're really looking for is probably like around $50, and it sounds like you're hitting $50 like a lead, right? $50 a call, right? Because here's the thing: if your front desk is only converting half of it, right? Half like the calls into an appointment, then it's going to cost you $100 to get that new patient in the door to attend the first visit, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to make sure that cost per acquisition is low enough, so that, because you still have to pay your staff, you still have to pay your front desk, right? And you still have to pay all the other stuff to run your clinic, right? And so, I think it's very critical, like whether you work with Neil's business or you work with any other agency, you got to be able to track what your marketing ROI is. And the easiest thing you could track, everybody, is track how many calls you're getting and what is your dollars per call. Right.
Yeah.
And then
so
from
one of the
track,
things there is,
what is your dollars like book? How much it costs you to get a new patient in the door?
Yeah, I think one thing people understand is that when you're doing ads, at least 60%, sometimes 70% or more are coming as a call. So you have to have a call tracking mechanism. That's why like Call Hero is really good, because you can see, did this Google ad produce this phone call, and then you can attribute the money that's spent with that. Rick, one thing I will say is that most of the clinics that we talk to are not using some sort of agency to do ads. They're trying to do it themselves.
Yes.
And they usually, hey, it doesn't work, right? Or I'm doing okay. And what they don't realize is that Google, if you try to do it yourself and do Google's recommendations, Google wants you to spend money. And so if you do all of Google's recommendations, they're actually wasting your money, because they'll put you on networks that go on like people's games on their phones, all these other things that the people aren't going to be really thinking about going and taking care of their pain or their health when they're playing a video game, right? So you have to be very careful in your audience selection, all these other criteria. And that's where Google Ads is quite complex. And if you do try to do it yourself, you can get some sort of performance with it. But often people don't put
I
the
agree.
effort
I
to it
think
and then
let's
it
be
falls
honest,
apart.
man. Like Google Ads is so technical. Like when you open it, it is like this complicated beast, and like and it should, and because it changes all the time, you actually should, no one should be doing their own Google Ads. I'm gonna be straight up. Like you should spend your time recruiting another physiotherapist or another chiropractor working in a clinic, because that's like worth $200,000, right?
Mhm.
Right? Like pay
Yeah.
someone to like do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear the church bells behind me, Neil?
No, I can't.
Okay. Everyone, I'm in Italy right now, and just church bells are ringing, so my
Oh, I
mic
do
is
hear it
really.
now. Yes, yes,
All
I do.
right, so the second thing you want to be able to, like, because when it comes to paid ads, like you have to ask yourself, do I have a marketing problem, which is generating leads? Is it like $50 a call, or is it $200 a call, right? Or do I have a problem with like my front desk, like conversions, right? Are they answering at 95%? Are they converting like 8 out of 10 like marketing leads calls, right?
Mhm.
And if you don't know, then you should, if you can't track those two things, like, like your marketing and your call performance, you should not be spending money on like Google Ads, straight up, because you're just blowing money. Okay.
Mhm.
All
Yeah.
right. See,
Typically for
someone's hearing
Google
my
Ads, though,
bells.
you should be able to produce, if you're spending about $500, there's an average of like 10 new patient leads, or actual 10, 10 new patient leads a month for that. Or when you get, it kind of goes exponential. So like when you get to like 1,000, you start to do over like 20 new patient leads a month on that. But that's if you have it dialed in, right? And that's
Yeah.
really the key, and knowing the metrics and the tracking, all that kind of thing that goes into it. So that's why, again, it is one of those things where you do want to get professional help to help you spend your money wisely when you're doing that.
All right. Let's talk about the next little square here, right? So
Yeah.
when you go down Google, this is the next, you see the maps and see all the local listings, right? Like, Neil, what does this mean?
Yeah, so this is called the 3-pack, right? And basically this is your local SEO. So we have our ads, which is called search engine marketing, SEM. And then we have our 3-pack here in the middle, and this is all tied to local SEO. And so this is really tied to your Google business profile. And so it's how you show up on maps. This is where reviews are pulled in. This is where there's other helpful content in terms of hours of operation, all of those kind of things, right? And so this is really a critical area where people do search, for a place that's close to them, right?
Hey, Neil, what like 46% get clicks on, you said, like on the
Ad
paid.
sections, yeah.
What about this section? What percent is this?
Yeah, so between this and the top 10 organic section is the rest. So, 54% of that. But I would say that of that 54%, more of a percentage is going to be in this local SEO section.
Sorry, what percent you think?
I would say probably more like 30 something percent
Okay.
of that extra.
Yeah. I personally use this section a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I love, like I'm so review driven, so I'm looking at the reviews, right?
Yeah. And this too is more, again, this is okay. So we've got different ways that people are searching online. So if I'm looking for, hey, what's the best physical therapy place near me? I'm probably going to look more in this local SEO section, right?
Yeah.
However, a lot of people search by their condition. So what can I do for my knee? I sprained my knee. What can I do for my back pain? It's been bugging me. That's some of the Google searches. That's what we call condition-based searches. So on the condition-based searches, the local SEO does not show up quite as much as if you're looking for a specific type of business. So it's a different type of search. So yes, Rick, when you're looking for, hey, what's the best restaurant near me? Or what's the best physical therapy? What's the best chiropractor near me? People are going to look a lot more in this local SEO section. But if they're looking for, hey, what can I do about sprained knee? Google does not often show, depending on the type of search, doesn't necessarily even show local SEO.
This is where, like, or being organic or like on the paid ads, like what's going to drive most of the clicks, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Does this make sense? Give me a score out of like 10 in the chat, everyone, just to make sure everyone's still awake, and they're not. Yeah. Out of 10, does this make sense what kind of Neil's talking about, right? So
Yeah.
cool. And I think you summarized it, Neil. I think I have those 3 points. Like it's really about how active like your Google business profile is, and how many quality reviews you have, and like and what type of content and photos are you pushing out of your Google My Business profile, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and here's the thing, like, check this out. Like, you know, if you were a consumer and you saw like these two clinics like that lived in your area, who would you likely call first? Would you call A or B? Type in the chat. I would 100% call B first. Like 623 reviews. I would not even, and you know why I would call B too? They're open. Look at A. A is closed.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker is that like most people like don't actually manage their Google My, they don't run their Google business, they don't run their Google business like profile like actively. And so they might have like times back when they first started like 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe like back in January as a holiday, you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So Google Business Profile is an area that you can control as a business owner, and you can put some effort, and it can make a huge difference in how you're pulling up on page one of Google. One thing you can see here is that it is good to have a lot of reviews, but what's also important to see here is that just getting a lot of reviews doesn't necessarily mean you're going to show up in the top 3 here on the 3-pack on page one of Google, because this clinic here with 86 reviews is still ranking up there, and actually number 1 compared to number 3 for the 623 review clinic. So reviews are very, very important, but they're not the only determinant of how you rank in this.
What's the main determinant, Neil?
It's not one thing. Fresh content is actually really important. So how many pictures do you have up there? How many people are engaging with your Google Business profile, right? Are your hours of operation constantly updated? Do you have linked content like blogs from your website? Google likes to see fresh stuff up there. So that this is part of it. There's also another thing that goes really into this that a lot of people don't understand, and it's what's called citations. And citations, all that means is how your business information is out on different other websites like Uber and Waze and Facebook and Instagram, and lots of other directories. So the more of those that you have, the more your Google profile is going to rise in this 3-pack.
You're talking like an agency now, Neil. I don't know what you're talking about.
Got it, because it's part of what makes you, because people can get frustrated. They put a lot of effort into their reviews, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to rank up in the top 3.
So for this specific topic, like, let's talk about how do we get more reviews, okay? So, you know, and then we'll jump to some of the stuff you talked about, like, Neil, but like, you know, like just within the Clinic Accelerator community, like I'll just talk about, there's kind of 3 ways of getting more reviews, right? You know, one is about like, how can you operationalize the review process, you know? So this is where you get your front desk or your clinicians involved, where you get them to ask the clinician, ask the patient, you know, after either X amount of visits, or at like, you know, like, or upon discharge, or upon like the first couple of visits. And then, you know, like it's going to ask them, and then you would email or text them. And then like, typically like this process that you're putting in play, for every single like 100 new patients you would get, like you should be able to have a process, be able to maybe convert 10%, 10 to 15% of how many new patients get a month, right? You know, so when you start seeing clinics that have 1,000 Google reviews or like 500 Google reviews, is because they created a process in place where they're getting 10 every single month. And in a year, that's 120. In 3 years, that's 360. And so if you don't set that up, you're going to have like nothing. And this is one thing you could control. Okay.
Yeah.
If this makes sense, type in like front desk in the chat, everyone. This is one thing.
One thing I'll say here is that, again, an area for a decision for a practice owner is that you're absolutely 100% right in that you need to create the process in your clinic for the gathering of reviews. And that doesn't necessarily mean just straight up automation, because the type of reviews that make the most difference in how people want to come to you is actually the ones that tell the transformation type story. And that comes from asking personally from the therapist or the front desk, and then you have the mechanisms that make it easy for people to have those kind of reviews. But like Rick, what you're saying here, you need to have that script, you need to have the right text or email that goes into it, the thank you that comes afterwards. So it's not just throw a software system at it, it's really a process that goes through.
Yeah, yeah, and this is something you guys can control. To me, it's just operations, everybody. This is like running your clinic, running your operations. You want to set goals with your front desk and your teams, and if they hit it, get them like some like gifts, like give them a bonus, give them like a pedicure, give them some flowers, right? Give them a pizza party, right? But you want to have a goal of like, hey, we want to get 15 reviews a month. That's like roughly 50% of the new patients we get, and so that's 180 in a year. And so I think that's a big deal, right? And I think and then Neil was talking about this too, right? Is that like you want to start running your Google My Business profile like your Instagram page, everybody. Meaning you're in there publishing, posting, interacting, engaging like two, 3 times a week, with real photos, helpful content. And if you do this, this will drive you more like traffic to your website and phone calls than the time you would spend on Instagram. If this makes sense, type Instagram in the chat, because I see a lot of people spend a lot of time on Instagram, but they don't spend the time on this. But this actually, if you do it, will actually generate the phone calls.
Yeah, it's huge too, and it's not hard. It's quite easy to do, right? And add things to it for sure.
Run it like your Instagram channel, everybody. If you put the exact same effort, or like your Facebook channel, you would actually get more calls. Here's an example. Check out this case study. So this clinic here, in our community, like I think it gets roughly about 1,000 like unique visitors in a month. Their Google My Business profile generates 117 calls in a month and 175 like website visits. So their Google My Business profile generates 17% of the traffic, right? And 117 calls. Who wants 117 calls into their clinic? Type 117 in the chat, everybody.
This is a big area that we focus on.
You could do, every one of you, but you got to run your Google My Business. They keep on changing the name. The Google My Business profile.
It's Google Business Profile. Yeah, I still call it Google My Business. But here's the thing too, like this is an area that we put a lot of attention on for our clinics. And usually we'll see up to like triple the number of phone calls that are coming in just from Google My Business alone. When you do it right, because it's such a powerful thing to do. And again, it's not, there's some technical things to do, but there's so much stuff that you can do yourself from a content perspective. One thing that can be very helpful on the Google Business Profile is categories. So when you're in there, you have categories, and most likely you have like physical therapy or chiropractor put up in there. But if you're a clinic that has some other types of services, maybe you have massage therapy, maybe you have some sports medicine training, whatever you have, try to get as many of those categories as you can, because that will help you double or triple the amount of searches that you can come up for just simply by adding categories that you're offering.
Well, the categories is the other keywords you want, like for example, massage therapy, chiropractic, osteopathy, like physical therapy, like those keywords, or pelvic floor, right?
Absolutely, yeah, right in there. Okay. Rick, can I share one of the, coming back to the reviews here, I love to share this with clinic owners because it's such a simple process improvement. But what we're looking for with reviews are the reviews that get people to take the most action. And so what we don't necessarily want all the time in our reviews is that, hey, this is a wonderful place to go, that people are so nice and friendly. That's great. But what we're really looking for are the reviews that say, I couldn't walk 50 feet, but after coming here, I'm back to running. Those kind of transformational type of reviews are so powerful. And one thing you can just simply train your clinicians and your front desk to do is to ask the question, what can you do now that you couldn't do before? So that's the question they would ask the patient. What can you do now that you couldn't do before? So it gets the patient to think about the transformation they've had by coming to your clinic, and that's what they're going to tell the story of in their review. And that's so powerful when other people are reading over that type of review.
Okay, super cool. All right, let's get to the bottom now. Like this is the local, like this is like the free stuff that everyone wants to rank for, which by the way is never free. You have to spend money, okay? Although it is free, right? So Neil, like what would you say are the top 3 things so that you could rank on the top 3,
It comes down to the content of your website.
Okay.
Right. So spending some time on specific pages that like, or maybe on back pain or neck pain or shoulder, whatever you're gonna, the key things that you can do. So that is really a huge thing for that. The other part of it too is how many people actually click on this. So you need to be able to work with what's your keyword. So let's just say the main one's physical therapy, for example. How your title is going to come up here, where it says core physical therapy in Seattle, but also how that description ties that keyword into and sells me as a consumer to want to click on and learn more about it. So the better you can write those and play with headlines, the more information that you can get. And that's called a meta title and a meta description on there. And then, of course, where you can add certain links and things on here, like they have underneath, and we can see, like, locations and providers. Those kind of things can really help with ranking you up higher there.
Is there a winning meta winning meta title, meta description?
Neil? That is the golden goose. That comes with testing.
You can share this with it. You work with 1,000 clinic. Have you seen a formula that works?
Usually you got to have the keyword that you want, physical therapy, the town that you're trying to really, show up for. So that's going to bring the location aspect of it. Sometimes if you have like, say like, physical therapy and core physical therapy, and then if you have the pipeline, which is the vertical or a little dash, Seattle, or you'd have like Seattle physical therapy, that can really be very helpful to in ranking. So the little pipeline, which is right above usually your return button on your keypad, that can make a big difference in kind of segmenting and having another keyword that you can be specific with. So that's the secret sauce there.
Okay, very cool, very cool. And then I think maybe you could talk about also, obviously, like, your website technically has to be set up the right way so that Google could, like, read and view your website, because most clinics aren't like structured very well. That's why you need to work with like agencies like Neil that could do that.
Yeah.
You want to maybe talk about why maybe mobile and having a fast like website is important too, Neil?
Absolutely. So the thing is, websites need to be really updated about every couple of years. The technology online changes so rapidly from that aspect, and how Google algorithms are always changing too. So it's really good to revamp that. So there's things that go into your website. There's the coding and technology, how fast your website loads. That's really, really important, how certain things load on your website. There's the menu and how it navigates, how people experience that goes into how Google looks at your website, and then the content too, right? So the things that you have written, do not list just on one page all the things that you do or the conditions that you treat. Those actually need to be separate pages and have content on them. That can help you tremendously increase the volume of people coming to your website and how you're searched.
Yeah, and design it for mobile, everyone, because half the traffic coming into your website is on the phone. Just like what we said in the very beginning, when we're on the toilet, like in the bathroom, we're on our mobile phone. Okay.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense, type in bathroom in the chat, everybody. Okay. This is super, super important. Design it so it's mobile first, like I think it's only going to get worse over time, so.
And one of the key things that we help clinics with too is that the call to action on a mobile website is going to be different than the call to action so much on your desktop version. So the mobile version, you want to really highlight call us today, because most people are going to call from their phone versus try to fill out a form on their phone. So that's one of the big differences there from the call to action perspective on your website.
All right, so we gotta, like the last thing I maybe want to talk about is I'm gonna talk about like, like in Neil's world, they talk about backlinks, like in my world, we talk about community marketing partnerships, right? So how can you partner with people in your local community whether you're doing content collaboration together, or like you're doing workshops together, or you are, and then they're also linking their website or their social media to your website. That's what you want, for community marketing. And so I'm not going to talk about that, but maybe like take a screenshot of this, everybody. Here is like a community marketing cheat sheet of all the different types of people you could collaborate with your community, right? So, that could be from local businesses, medical experts, influencers, small businesses, employers, sports events. So take a screenshot of that. I think this will be kind of like helpful, but these are the people that you want to do business with, and then, and if they link their website to yours, all of a sudden you have more power, right?
Yeah, super simple. Just asking for them to put your website link, your website name and link on their website. Yeah, so super powerful with that.
And this is my favorite part of like Google. If you look at the, like, I'm a content junkie, right? So I'm always looking for like what type of content to create. And most owners typically say like, I want to create a blog, but I don't know what type of content to create, right? What's beautiful is that like in Google, there's a section that says people also ask section. And typically they're pretty much telling you what people are wanting to read, or what they're searching for that like key term. And so I love using this to identify what type of content to create, So this is called people also ask section. If you find this helpful for content, give me a score out of 10. This is a really good hack that we've done with Pain Hero over like the past like couple of years, and it's like help us like skyrocket our traffic, on terms of what type of traffic to create, so okay, cool. All right, so I want to just wrap up on this part. What is your biggest takeaway from this section, everybody? What is your biggest takeaway from this section? And Neil, what's kind of been your biggest takeaway when you look at, like people in the chat, what they've been typing?
People have a lot of aha moments in terms of the different areas that we've been talking about today. Sonia says, don't do it yourself. There's a lot of things that you can do yourself, Sonia. And I think that just knowing that there are some things you can do to improve that, but it's also good to look at getting help too. Blair says, check your citations. Michelle says, number one, that spending time on my Google profile is a great investment. Absolutely. Google My Business, Google profile, says Trifo. Natalie says, photos. Awesome. Absolutely. Got to put lots of photos up there. Connection of their full story for reviews. Lauren says, thankfully, they post a Google business profile frequently. Fantastic. They also have a platform that helps to automate it. Absolutely. There's those out there. Dina says she's partnering. Jillian says front desk conversion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
A lot of opportunities for improvement there.
Cool. Very good. Yeah. And I just want to remind everyone, like, like there are stuff that you could control, and just like a lot of the Google My Business profile stuff, like, your community partnerships, those are things that you all could do, with like generating Google reviews with your front desk. Those are all things that you could do, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you line yourself with like a good agency, like people like with Neil, then, oh my gosh, like that's like the winning combo, right? So awesome. Now this next part, I just want to type in the chat. What else, like what's been working for you right now with generating new patients? Type that in the chat. What's working for you right now with generating new patients? And it can't be word of mouth, okay? And it can't be word of mouth, what's working for people? TikTok ads, interesting, How so, Neil? Matthew, is it like just generating impressions, or you're actually getting calls and leads into your clinic, right? Maybe type in the chat. Michelle Wilson is like, yep, people find me on Google, great. Direct referral cards. So Neil, I think you do some of this stuff, right, with your print marketing. Like, what is that?
Yeah, so there can be a business card or just a little card, and given out to people like, hey, give this to a friend or family.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Laura, our good friends from like New York, right? Google reviews. Google reviews are like, I just think that's the simplest thing that you could do. And it's going to give you so much, like,
a lot of ammo right there.
There's a lot of ammo, right? So anyone who's spending 2-3 hours a week on Instagram and ain't getting any like type of like leads, from it, shift that energy to like reviews and Google My Business profile. Okay. E-blasts, 100%. I love like emails, right? So, wow. Okay. In Facebook ads, Neil, have you seen like what type of Facebook campaigns work really well, Neil?
That's not an area that we do a lot in. I know that you've done some more in that, but things that I've seen well there are you have to kind of show more optimistic, right? So what people can attain. So if they want to be able to run, or they want to have that healthy lifestyle, play, with their family, with their children. So like more kind of uplifting and kind of brand awareness, and find out how you can, attain this. And if you can be a little bit more specific in terms of, if you have a program like a back pain program, or, back pain system or something like that, those can work really well to bring that awareness, bring people in, through the landing page or the website, whatever you might have set up there.
Okay, cool. Very cool. So, yeah, and I wanna, every person that put in like a question mark or like had any questions, I actually personally want to invite everyone to the Clinic Boss Summit in Orlando, Florida. It's on January the 26th to the 27th. It's going to be like 3 days, and we're focusing on 3 topics: recruitment, retention, and we got a full day of marketing. And so I just want to invite everyone like to check this out, because like there's gonna be over 300 clinic owners. You're gonna learn from like the top clinic owners like in the world about what the best practices are regarding like those 3 themes. And like if you just check it out, like we got this amazing lineup like of people. We talked about recruitment, we talked about retention, and we're gonna get hyper tactical like what to kind of work on, and also like, we're gonna spend a full day, me, Neil, and Shada, my marketing we're gonna spend a whole day just to do marketing, and this whole day, like we from, I think it's gonna be 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, right, Neil? We're gonna do everything from, designing what your patient avatars are going to be. We're going to talk about marketing budgets and ROI. We're going to talk about direct mail strategies. We're going to talk about like Google, and it's going to be highly tactical, everyone. It's not just like theories. We're going to actually do it with you, right? We're going to go through the anatomy of your website. We're going to talk about AI, Chat GPT, and then also what type of marketing activities you should hire internally and what you should do externally, right? And at the end of it, we want you to actually walk away with actually a marketing plan that you can actually execute, And so I'm just going to put this in the chat, everyone. And so I really encourage everyone to actually come to this. You're going to spend a whole day in Florida to come hang out. And I'm just curious, like type in the chat who's thinking about it. Maybe type maybe a question mark if you're thinking of joining. Okay, coming to this event where we're going to spend a whole day in marketing, and the other 2 days we're going to talk about recruitment and retention, which is kind of the 2 core pillars of our business.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't been to one of Rick's events before, they are awesome, and it's so different than your traditional kind of conference that you might go to, like if you go to PPS or something like that. There's so much learning going on and actionable content. Like Rick really, and his team and all these other speakers here, you can walk away with a lot of great action items that you can be able to implement right away, which I really love.
This year I get a co-host with Neil. We're gonna do this
together,
right?
Super excited about that.
And so I'm just gonna tell you what you're gonna get, everyone. So the theme is you're gonna master recruitment, retention, and marketing, everybody. Okay. So and the second thing you're gonna get is you're gonna learn from the 300 of the world's top clinic owners. And these are people who these are from solopreneurs to like multi-million-dollar clinics to like multi-location clinics, right? There's gonna be 3 days of amazing like speakers, and once again, you get that exclusive full day like workshop that you're gonna talk about. So you're gonna spend a whole day with like me and Neil, and we're gonna get into the weeds of building out your entire market plan from A to B, and what you could do internally and what you could do externally, and outsourced. Okay. It's going to be in Florida. It's going to be in Florida, Orlando, Maria, right? And you'll see the address there. And here's the best part, everyone. Everyone go to the summit. At the summit, we're gonna actually, unlike most conferences, when you go to it, you end up feeling overwhelmed with so much content and you don't know what to do. This year, we're doing something we've never done before. We're actually going to work with you to put together a 12-month action plan. So you can actually implement everything that you learned or that you want to implement at the summit. you know. So this is a big deal. We're going to have like all these business coaches to actually work with you to put together a 12-month action plan. Like this is like game changing, you know. No event has ever done this before, and we're going to do that for you. And plus we get, you know, like Neil, we do these legendary like parties, you know, which has amazing food and music. You know, I think we had a live band last time, you know, and we also give out like the best swag ever. I think last year we gave out like 250,000 like of giveaways, right? And who doesn't want to be like, you know, palm trees and sunshine, you know? So whether you're in Canada and it's freezing cold, or whether you are like maybe in the, you know, west coast of like the US and it's like rainy, you know, right? Or maybe it's like cold in the Midwest, you know, or the East, come hang out with like Neil and I in Orlando, Florida.
That's right.
Right.
Get some palm trees and sunshine.
Yeah. And this event, everyone is like $8.95, you know? So I'll just leave it at that. And I'd love to see each of you guys all there. And yeah, it's January the 25th, you know, and there's going to be 300 people there. And yeah, it'll be awesome to actually have each of you guys here, you know? So I'm just going to throw it in the link. If you could check it out, that'd be great, everyone, and love to kind of see you there. And I guess my you know, and what I want to leave with you is that if all you could do, if all you did was get one new patient a week after coming to like the Clinic Boss Summit, would that be worth it for you? Right? Maybe type yes or no in the chat. Okay. Or if going to this event and all you did was just like learn some tactical strategies so you can hire your next clinician, right? And each of these clinicians, Neil, is worth 200K. Would that be worth it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so yeah, love to see you all there. And so, and yeah, we're going to stick around here now, and maybe we'll do a Q&A of any other questions that each of you guys have, you know? And so why don't we kind of go through that now, right? So
sounds great.
So Neil, I think there's a couple of Q&As in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
If like,
so Marielle had a question, and she said that for a new practice and only having a few Google reviews, how does one go to the fourth compared to someone with 10 years in the business and having 200 Google reviews? So that's a great question. So it does take a little bit more effort and time with a startup, right? Because Google's got to know you and like you and trust you. But this is where, again, having things set up properly from the get-go. So putting, you know, the investment in the right website to get up in there. Don't just go for something that's, you know, okay. You can definitely put a lot of effort into your Google business. So that's where you can really start, like pictures of the location, pictures of you treating some patients, like all of that can be really, really helpful. Even if you don't have a lot of reviews just yet, the content alone in there can really help you out. And then going out and making those partnerships and relationships, like Rick was talking about, can be huge in getting you up really quick. For example, like we had a client with a lot of locations up in the Northeast, and they worked with one of the state's large soccer associations, and that links from that particular website is the absolute best thing for their SEO. It's really created a huge rise in all of their locations rankings. So just simple things like that, being able to build those community backlinks is huge.
And Neil, but let's be honest, like, you know, I think Mariette brings a good point. Like, you know, if you're starting off as a solopreneur, like what's like, I think a lot of these people who start up a clinic have this unrealistic, you know, expectation that, oh my gosh, like brand new website, I don't have a lot of pages, right? No one knows who I am, like, and I want to rank on Google, right? You know,
yeah.
What's realistic? Like if you set up right, like, you know, and they grow, like, you know, like they grow naturally, like most clinics, like at what point, like how many years, if they did the right thing, they did what we talked about, they work with our agency, like what is realistic for them to actually show up, you know, on top 3?
Actually, that can be done in like a 3 to 6 month time frame if you're doing it right.
No way.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you're doing it right.
Yes, I agree.
And it depends on where you are.
In a rural area where there's no competition. I agree with
you.
Well,
if you're like, you know, downtown New York or something like that, yes, that's a lot harder to do. That might take a little bit more time. But for, you know, most regular sized cities and suburbia areas where a lot of clinics are located in those areas, they can rank well. But again, it's like where I see clinic owners, whether they're a startup or they've been in business for a while and just not getting much traction, the number one thing is the correct estimation of effort it's going to take to get you where you want to go. So a lot of times they don't estimate that correctly. What really is it going to take me to get here? You know, maybe I put $1,000 a year extra in my budget for marketing. That ain't going to do it. You know, you really gotta have enough effort to make it go the way that you want to go.
Yeah. And you know, if I use my pain hero as an example, you know, I started that website 2 years ago, right? And it's a national website that ranks on all the major, I think we're ranking I think we have like about maybe 15 or 20 major cities we're ranking top 3. But it didn't all happen it didn't really happen until like, I would say really like in year 2. Like, you know, yeah, sorry, we're in year 3. It didn't really happen in year 2, but it was this constant effort of like designing it properly, just pushing out content and just like doing it right, you know, doing all those steps that we kind of talked about, right? So that's kind of cool. Hey, Marielle, one thing I just wanted to bring up is that like I spoke with a clinic owner in our community, and he started from scratch, you know, like as a solopreneur, like 3 months ago, right? And he opened up a clinic in Vancouver in the busiest like corridor where there's tons of clinics, right? And like, I actually didn't think he could be successful, to be honest. I was like, oh, just got everything stacked against you. Like, there's like within his block, there's probably like 6 clinics, you know, right? And you know where you got like right now, like I chatted with him, like he's completely full. He's hiring his next therapist now.
Nice.
And you know what he did? Had nothing to do with online marketing, Neil. He just did the community marketing stuff, the old school marketing, the stuff that me and used to do when you used to run clinics, which is the community marketing, working with like the local influencers, the personal trainer, the massage therapist, like, you know, the barber, like just people in that community, and really focusing on these like Facebook groups with like moms, you know, like pelvic floor, like all the mommy groups and that neighbor, like, and that's how he got himself full. Like that's how he got herself full. Like it was insane.
Yeah, there's a lot to that, you know, and you know, you have different personalities. So if you're a practice owner that is very outgoing, you have that great kind of personality, that's fantastic. Like being able to build those community relationships like that, because that's how people really they do share that, and it can spread like wildfire. So it's not always just about online marketing. It is building, you know, consistent relationships with other people in the community.
Yeah, but you know, and I think that's a great way to start off, because when you're doing a startup, like you're kind of dealing with cash flow, right? You just have to pay the bills, you just have to have a mortgage, or like maybe you took out equipment lease. And so my suggestion has always been is get cash in the door right away. But once that starts cash coming, like you have to work with like experts and do it right, you know, so that like a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, like you actually have like a website that's ranking, you know, which is more of a mid to long-term strategy, you know, not something that's gonna like happen right away. So
one of the things too with some practice owners and is that you know, they might be doing good with one location and they're ready, like, hey, I want to start expanding and I'm going to start a second location here, or even a third location. And they don't necessarily, they think that just by opening that location, because they got brand recognition where they're at and they're part of town, they're automatically going to do great with that. And so maybe they don't put much marketing effort into getting that new clinic up and running. And it really depends how far away it is from you too. So if it is a little bit further away in a different section of town, or even a different town, it's like starting up a new clinic, right? You really got to get that that clinic itself out of people don't even know it, right, in that particular area. So that can be another stumbling block to those clinic locations not being as successful as the primary location, because often they just don't get enough traction or enough effort at the beginning to really have that boost in marketing to get themselves established.
Yeah. 100%. I love that. So everyone type in the chat if you have any questions for any burning questions on marketing. Neil and I are going to stick around and actually answer a few things. Like a lot of you are still hanging out. So it's, I'm like, wow, okay. I thought you guys want to leave, So Neil, what's the next Q&A you see on there? I think someone else added something.
There was one that asked if do you work with UK clinics? So I know here at Practice Promotions we keep within North America, so Canada and the US is our clients. So we're not across the pond yet. Although I am from the UK originally, and I do love my fellow.
Isn't it the same process?
It can be very similar, yeah. There's different rules and things like that too with European marketing that can be a little bit different than privacy laws and things like that can be a little different.
So Christopher's is like, what's the best practice for getting other people in your community to link from your website to yours? So Neil, I'm going to leave that. I'll let you start off, and then I will.
It's relationships, man. If you can scratch their back and you can, if you can cross promote somehow, let's say that you might, let's say it's a local, a soccer league or something like that, right? So maybe it's something where, you might get in by knowing some of the families in there or some of the coaches. You get to some of the members and be like, hey, can we, provide some free athletic training or something like that, or just a workshop or something. And then you build that relationship and say, hey, we'd love to, be up on your website. And then basically like just your information, business information and the website name. And if that's linked, that's it, right? You're good. Chambers of commerces are probably the simplest thing to do because your local chamber of commerce, they want businesses to be part of it. So there it's often just saying, hey, I'd like to join the Chamber of Commerce. Sure, you put your business, you put businesses information up on your website. Boom, there you go.
Yeah,
so simple things like that.
And I'll give you another one. Like I'm big on social media. It's kind of an oxymoron. I'm big on social media. I'm big on social media. And I use social media to actually do content collaborations with other like people of authority, right? So Christopher, in this case, is that like if you have a clinic that actually has a decent Instagram, Instagram profile and brand, then you could work with like maybe that local gardening shop, where you actually do content together. So it could be like doing IG content reels together, like, or like, or you could do like blog posts together, or you could do like these workshops together. So just imagine like someone like who has like a gardening store. They're always looking for content to create for their people, and so shoulder pain and gardening, shoveling, and like there's so much back pain and gardening, like there's just so much content that's available. But it's back to what we said about you said originally, Neil, is that like it's actually getting boots on the ground, developing relationships like with people so that you do content collaboration together, right? So, and that's how you do it,
Absolutely.
Hopefully, does that make sense, Christopher? Maybe give me maybe a A or a B, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
And I think that what's BNP?
I don't know.
Sounds like a drug. Satish, what's BNP? Is BNP good? Okay, I'm not sure. All right, we're gonna wrap up. It doesn't look like there's a lot more questions. So maybe I just want to remind everyone, like, come join us at the Clinic Boss Summit, everyone. So it's gonna be awesome. There's gonna be 300 people there. Hope to see you in Florida. Like, you get hang out a full day with like me and Neil, and also my director of marketing, which is Shada. We're gonna talk about everything from social media to Google, and you're going to actually walk away with like a plan, of what to do for 2024. And like, this is going to be like incredible, everyone. So hopefully we'll see you in Florida. And if not, we'll probably see you maybe sometime soon with one of our next upcoming webinars or podcasts, right, Neil?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me on the podcast here, Rick. Appreciate it.
Sounds good. All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
All right. See you, Neil.
Bye now.